Big up, guys. I wonder if you can hear me. Just letting you know the stream will be starting in a minute. Big up to everyone that's in here, locked in right now. Appreciate you all. We'll go through your comments as we look ahead to Arsenal versus Manchester City. Looking forward to this one. Excited, nervous. There's a lot of feelings I'm having right now, emotions ranging. But we're going to go right into it with this one, people. Big up to yourselves. Love to you all, as we'll be starting soon. Thought I'd try something out. I need to add some background music, but I just pulled this one together just very quickly. So I thought, may as well. And as we're going to get into it, people, let's go. Wagwan, everyone. I hope you're doing well and welcome back to Tereak Talks. Guys, big up to each and every one of you that's locked in here. We are doing this on a late night thing because it is such a big match. I have to get this preview out here. It is Arsenal versus Manchester City. I drew the thumbnail up together. I put the stream. I made it very quickly in a short space of time. So I'm sorry for those who are catching this a little bit late. But I did put out a community post last night, and my apologies for why I wasn't able to do the Premier League preview show. I have my internet sorted, sort of upgraded. I just moved the Wi-Fi hub from downstairs to upstairs into my room, and I'm connected through the Ethernet cable, everything. I'm streaming in 1080p. So if there is any lag issues or anything like that, which there shouldn't be anymore, there shouldn't be any of these issues that we're facing. I'm sure we will still get them from the odd time to time, but we are here and we are live. That's the most important thing. And I want to big up to each and every one of you that is here locked into the stream right now. I do appreciate you all for locking in because it means the most, as it is a late one and we are doing something a bit different in terms of our timings. But maybe we'll get a few more subscribers that we had at different stages, different parts of the world, out there in the east or out there in the west, as it's nice and early over there. But let me go into the comments and big up to each and every one of you. We've got Ends in the building, my fellow, well, he's not a fellow gamer, he's a Liverpool fan, but a fellow content creator in himself. He says, bless up, bro, will be a good game. Love to see you in here, man. Appreciate your love and support as always. It really says late again. I know I was late, even though I pushed the stream back by half an hour, I was still late. Big up to yourself, my bro, and I'm sure you're chuffed after your win. I was on the match reaction watching the Man United game with them, and yeah, it was a joy. It was a pleasure being with you, even if it meant that you guys won. And I wanted to be there to give you some banter, of course. But nah, big up to my brother right there. Moss in the building here says, big ups all. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving, Gooners. We are winning. Big up to yourself, Moss, and who did have his 3 o'clock show. I'm sorry I wasn't able to catch it, man. I was watching a bit of Realists and I was also working at the same time. But I hope you had a good one. And yeah, man, and I hope you're feeling good and ready for this one here too. Odie Guan Kenobi, big up to my brother right here. He says, bro, how am I not even on the podium? Gotta be quicker next time to be top 3 listeners. How is everyone doing? Happy Canada Thanksgiving. Exactly. Big up to yourself. Odie Guan Kenobi. Love to see you in here. And yeah, the chat is quick here. You know, we haven't got as many subscribers as we do on Tom's channel, the Gooner Talk. But yeah, it's just as competitive getting in here first as it looks. But now, appreciate you for tuning in. Paxton in the building, in here too. Love to see you in here. Good evening, Wes Bird. She says, evening to you all. Good evening to yourself and Mr. W as well. Good evening to yourself, Mr. 200. He's on his second bottle, so it could be interesting. So your predictions, by the time you get to that, it'll probably be on your third bottle. Depends on how fast you drink. So your prediction should be interesting for this one here. But I will, of course, give you my predictions and the prediction table, which has been updated as well. Good evening to yourself, Luke, who is a fellow Gooner. Says you enjoy that wine, Granddaddy Gooner. Big up to yourself, Luke, in here. Mr. W is also in here. Mr. W's had 2 whiskeys. So, hey, I'm on the water tonight. I should be having something, but I am going on holiday next week, guys. So and it is an all-inclusive So I will be having something there during the international break. Thought I'd keep myself busy. But we will be having content still before I do go on holiday. And then as soon as I come back, and it's only 5 days. So you won't be missing me for too long. You've experienced me no content from me for longer. We've got a City fan in here. Big up my brother Patrick in here. He says, you need a City rep. I'm here. You know what, Patrick? Oh, I might get the link out to you if you're available. And you know what, to all of you guys in the chat as well, I'd love to get you on here as we preview this game. You know what? Let's do it. Let's make it an open invite if anyone else wants to come. But yeah, definitely, Patrick. We'll have the City one. People, you'll have to be calm and tolerate him because he doesn't like many Arsenal fans. But he's here for me, so I do appreciate that. Big up to yourself as well, Patrick. In here, we'd love to have you guys on in here too. Really, look at you see, we'll smoke them Gunner streamers. Afraid, lol. Big up to Wilf who's just tuned in here as well. Love to see it. And let's get into it, guys. This is the Arsenal versus Manchester City preview. If you haven't done so already, please smash that like button as we get into it. And it is interesting to begin with. Of course, as we know, both teams heading into this weekend, Manchester City were top until Tottenham decided to go and beat Luton, who were down to 10 men earlier on. So there's 1 point difference between these two. Manchester City in second and Arsenal in third. Man City with 18 points, Arsenal with 17. Arsenal, only one team that's been unbeaten so far in the Premier League. So, and it is not Manchester City, it is Arsenal. And I do have Patrick here with me as well, who is a City fan. Be nice, people. Be nice. How you doing, my bro?
Nah, they can. The guys in the chat. You can bring smoke. You can bring smoke. But I'm gonna come. I'm not coming here with smoke. I'm gonna come here with football. So we're going to I'm coming on your channel respectfully with football. So if you want banter, we can go on banter. If you guys want to bring smoke from the chat, it's happened before on my channel. I brought a panel of Arsenal fan, Chelsea fan, and United fan, and the smoke was too much. The guys were like when a channel is focused on a team, they don't understand that there's a visitor on board. I have a channel. I switch it on once in a while in the season. I switch it at the beginning of the season. We do a preview. At the end of the season, we do another preview. Just because of what happened on my channel, people did not understand that the guests are here to discuss the title race. Now, they were not happy. They were not impressed. So I'm used to it, so it's fine. But I'm here with football talk today. We're gonna stick to football. If you want banter, I'll throw banter. But guys, if you want to hot smoke with me, we can hot smoke. But thank you very much, man, for bringing me on the channel. I saw you were doing the preview. I was like, let me jump on with the brother, all suited up in his Arsenal yellow kit.
Have to represent, man. Have to represent.
I wore black for your funeral, so you know what I mean?
There you go. He's already started here.
Sorry.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I'm sure there'll be little digs. I'll try my best. I'm sure you'll hear it. You'll hear a few in here. But I've also got my brother. Wilf is in here too. Big up Wilf, who is a fellow Gooner in here. So we have to make it 2v1.
Sup, Team Money.
I know.
Sup, Team Money. How you doing, man?
I'm all good. How are you?
Sorry about the casual. I wasn't quite ready for this. Yeah. How you doing, bro?
All good. And I'm looking forward to previewing this game as well. I think I can hear a little bit of echo in the background.
Right. That might be my is that any better?
Near your mic. I think
yeah,
that's better. I think the mic was listening to you as you were speaking, like it was listening to the other.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? Let's get into it. You know what? Let's go with the away side first and talk about their start to the season. Because as many Gooners in here, we know how we've done. We'll talk about the things that we got to speak for this match and with our last performance at Lens. But Manchester City, Patrick, how has it been from you guys? Because up until last week against Wolves, there was a lot of looking from the outsides. It was, Man City are still there, starting strong, which they don't usually do, and they look relentless, and it looks like the title's going to be theirs already. But we have seen obviously a few cracks now with Rodri's suspension and some of the Leipzig game. There was a struggle there, and it came up until Julian Alvarez's piece of magic. But how have you looked at it from a Man City fan?
Look, man, it's quite shocking to hear that this is one of our best starts with Pep Guardiola ever since he came to England for Man City. So it was one of our best starts. and he was laughing because he was like, if I did 7 in a row, I was gonna be happy. I did 6. Some people were starting to think we're gonna go undefeated, and that's not from the City fan base. It was the pundits thinking City are making it, are hustling, they're grinding, so maybe they will go undefeated. Something that I think will never happen in this time, because trust me, teams have money. Even small teams like Brentford can make you hold one on a day. Brighton can make you hold one. So it started well, man. It started well, but as always, I tell people, Man City never gel. Even this good start, let's not lie, there was no fantastic football. I think if you watch City games, nobody sat there and said, "Wow, this is we're blowing teams away." What are you doing?
No, it's no, bro.
Yeah. So I'm saying that we're blowing teams away. Nobody was saying we're blowing any teams away, or we're doing well. But at the end of the day, people were getting gassed up or getting excited because they were grinding out the results, getting the results. But if you look at them, it's like 2-1s, 1-0s. It was very close. I don't know if you've seen a game this season where you've said, "Oh my God, City smoked that team." Have you seen any game? I don't think so. We haven't smoked anybody, as in smoked them. So I was a bit cautious, but it started well. Some City fans were telling me to shush, be happy with what you have. So I was happy with what I had. I was like, you know what? It's a good start. Sometimes you have to struggle. Some of the players are not here, so we have to struggle. We're fine. But guess what? It only took one team that's organized. Obviously, we will say Rodri wasn't there. Maybe Rodri could have pushed us that extra mile, but it only took one team that was well organized, well coached, and drilled to beat us. Because I think if it wasn't Wolves, I think Man City, even with Rodri missing, was still winning. But I think Wolves were well organized. And to be honest with you, Wolves have our number in a very funny way. They somehow manage to always beat Man City home or away, which is funny because Wolves account admin has been very playful this past month, posting that we slap Man City whenever we want. But that's all about Man City. I wasn't convinced, but we were doing well. Let's be honest. And some people were scared that maybe we'll go unbeaten, which I think will never happen. Patrick, when did this beard start growing like that?
Hey, the champions did.
You see him. He's on Twitter always telling me to behave, but he's always throwing digs.
No, but I hear what you mean. So it hasn't been free flowing, kind of, from what you're saying. Wilf, I still hear a little bit.
Oh, sorry, man.
Yeah, no worries, my guy. But so it hasn't been free flowing. You haven't really smashed anyone of note. Well, you beat Fulham 5-1, but even that game, it was a bit sticky at certain points.
It wasn't convincing. It wasn't.
Yeah. Exactly. But I think, and what I've been trying to say to a lot of Arsenal fans at this point is, who have been questioning our performances at this stage in the season, it's just about getting points and making sure players are building up in terms of their relationships, their fitness,
100%.
Their cohesion. And then really you want to hit the peak performance levels where, you guys hit your peak performance last season was when it really mattered, instead of tailing off and burning out in a sort of way that I felt that we did. And that's what we really need to do, have adding different ways of beating opposition, which I think Man City have, because if you have a look at Manchester City signings this summer, bringing in a Kovacic, bringing in a Nunes, Doku, these are players who want the ball directly to feet and they can take on a man any part of the pitch, centrally, out wide, congested spaces. They've got the acceleration, the technical ability, and the drive to do it. And they are set up for teams that know they're going to be sitting in a low block, trying to set up counter-attack. And I think that's what Pep's done. And obviously, you are a sort of in transition as well because of the key players that you've lost, like a Gundogan, Mahrez, and whatnot. And even trying to transition in the likes of Josko Vardiel into that team and real find a home for them.
Before I forget, sorry for cutting you off. There's one individual you've just mentioned who I believe if he was still here and we lost Rodri, we couldn't have lost that Wolves game. That's Gundogan. Because if you notice, even since Fernandinho, when Fernandinho gets injured, somehow I don't get Gundogan. Gundogan is not, he was never a CDM or never that role. But somehow, whenever you give Gundogan that assignment, that you're the holding midfielder, every time City will beat a team like 6-7, it was Gundogan in midfield for Watford 7. It was Gundogan in midfield for Stoke 6-1. Somehow we always wanted big margins. You know why? Because Pep has a system. And people like Gundogan are the system who distribute the ball, and somehow his defense goes top level. But now we lost him, so we don't have somebody like Gundogan to step in when Rodri is gone. Because even as bad as I don't want to say Phillips has been bad. It's just Phillips. I think him and Pep don't see eye to eye ever since Phillips came with extra weight from the World Cup. Because Pep hinted, we told him not to go. So there's an article saying when Pep doesn't, when you crash with Pep, the forgiveness takes so long. You have to reconvince him. So I think that's what the issue with Phillips is. So I think if we had Gundogan, and you're right, losing Gundogan was big. Even Riyad Mahrez was big because Pep even was complaining, not even the Wolves game, the game before Wolves. I think he knew something bad is coming. He's like, there's moments where players like Gundogan, Riyad will step up when we needed them, and they'll help us through the season. We don't have those guys anymore. We've got younger players who have to adopt. So I just wanted to say on Gundogan, if we had Gundogan, who also openly said City were too late to offer him what he wanted. They offered him what he wanted when he already had a handshake with Barcelona. So he said he would have loved to stay. So look, man, it's peak right now. Tomorrow, I've been trying to do, on a serious note, I know I've been trying to gas up our team, but I've been trying to do starting 11s. Whatever midfield I put in that starting 11, I'm like, we're getting run in. Like, there's no way we're going to fight against Declan Rice and Odegaard in midfield with the new guys. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say. Go ahead,
yeah. No worries, man.
Yeah, but
what was you gonna say,
just to go on your point, there's a couple of points you made. I think looking at our start to the season, I see an evolution not just in the team, but in Arteta, in a maturity. In they took what happened last season, that we ran out of steam at the end of the season, and we're pacing ourselves. You both alluded to it, that City start bad. Yeah, they trundled along, just collecting points up until after Christmas, and then they put their foot on the gas. That's when they take into third, fourth, fifth gear. I think this team is evolving, and that's what the frustration is in us, because of how we were last season. Yeah, where we came out the gates flying, we were steaming over everybody. We got accumulated the most points that we'd ever accumulated in a Premier League season before, and everybody was saying, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do it."
I try to say that overexcitement and youth being young with the manager and the team, that overexcitement is what read maybe at the end for you too.
Exactly. It's almost, you know when you were a kid and you were excited about a party, that you were having a birthday party or something, and you got so excited and you drank fizzy drink, and then by the end of the party you crashed.
Don't even go with the fizzy drinks. Go with I remember when I was young, the second time I was drinking, I went to the prom night. Me and my friend, the mom gave us the mom used to own a hotel, so she said, if you want alcohol, I'd rather. My dad never knew I was drinking, but this guy's mom was from Korea and she knew we were drinking. So he says, I respect your dad. I'm not going to tell your dad that you guys are drinking, but my son says you guys drink. But I want not you guys go out there and start drinking cheap stuff or bad stuff that will get you. Like, so she says, here's a bottle of Hennessy. So, kids, we're young, excited, showing off. Yeah. We drank before everybody go to the prom night after party. Me and him blacked out in the tent.
There you go. You see what I'm saying? But this is what I'm saying. So the overexcitement, and we ran out of steam, and in the last season. So, excuse me, the development, the evolution of this team is what is giving some Arsenal fans the frustration about, well, why are we not battering teams? We're unbeaten in the league, where we lost one game in the Champions League, which is in a group stage, which everybody does, other than your Real Madrid, even Real Madrid last season, going to the final, and when they have won finals, they've lost games along the way. They've lost games in the group stage, which is not the end of the world. But we're steadily we're making sure we're picking up the pace, the points. We even though we're you got Rice and you've got Havertz and you've got other players, and Timber would have been one of them, getting used to the system, that our players getting used to them and how they play and their mentality and their movement, their tempo. Yeah. But we're still picking up points. I actually I know I'm always confident going into games with Arsenal, but I actually think Man City are there for the taking. So this is the first time since that 2-1 at home where I think we are best equipped, um, have the personnel to go out there and get a result. It's not a must win, but it's a must not lose.
100%.
And we need to stay on their coattails, keep it, stay. It's like when you see long distance runners. Yeah, there's a pace setter and somebody. Yeah, the rest of the group just keep up with him, keep up with him. If you can keep up with him, then come the last lap, then you can burn. Which we did it the other way around last season. We burnt out too soon, and I think that's what's going to happen. I mean, it's going to be a chess game tomorrow. It's not going to be like the Community Shield. Sorry.
Would you say
It's
it's
not
not
going to be
going to
like
be?
the.
You don't
It's
think
not
it's
going to
going
be
to be?
like the, and I don't think it's going to be like the Community Shield. I think
I
it's
think
going to
this
be
is more
more.
serious. I think there's a lot of things. Yeah, he's right. Because as much
Yeah.
as look, because I know, look, we all gas our teams. Like we all
Mm,
gas each other. Like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
the game is the game. I accept it. Look, I've been on YouTube. I've been on Twitter. When I first started YouTube, when I first started Twitter, I was very serious because I'm somebody who studies tactics a lot. So I was very tactical. Look at my first videos. It's the football purists that were watching my first videos. I still do those videos once in a while in the season. But I saw sometimes the game is a game. You're right. Like the Chinese Shield, people, if you think about it, Pep gives those away mostly. Like, big up to you guys for beating us, but he likes giving them away because he thinks, oh, you know what? I truly don't have to what play much. I'm trying to study who's here to die for me. It looks like he studies for who's willing to get a place. Because after the Charity Shield, that's when you know who's going to play. So he tests you, he keeps throwing people. But you're right, this is serious. And I think for Arteta, it's a bit personal because if you how do you say those words again? Because his chain has been snatched a few times by his master. But I
Yeah.
think Arteta wants to overcome that because he wants to, even Pep has had few people like Klopp. Remember, Klopp kept on snatching Pep's chain from Germany, gave him a bit of trouble. You could see Pep used to be triggered that I have to somehow humble this guy. So I think Arteta, this is the opportunity, right? This is the opportunity. And I know it's a bit of pressure, people are trying to put pressure, but I think Arsenal, if there is a time, Arteta has to grab Pep's chin. If there's a time you guys have to stop this? You know that thing where I don't know if you've seen this graphic where we've beaten you so many times in a row.
Yeah.
I think if there's a time for Arteta to say, guys, this is enough, it's now. Because I have been watching our team. As good as Man City sometimes under panic, under pressure, they step up, which I might be shocked tomorrow because we have stepped up in the past where Fernandinho is injured, Aguero is injured, De Bruyne, Fernandinho, Aguero is injured in a game. And guess what I said? I said we're playing against a big team. Was it Chelsea or one of these big teams? I said we're going to get smoked. We're getting smoked here, guys. Somehow City surprised me and they step up. The players step up and they play better. But I don't see that. And I feel like if you guys as Arsenal Football Club, you are you are now serious. Let's be honest. There was a time, I don't want to be disrespectful to Arsenal channel. There was a time you guys were banter. I was going on
Yeah.
AFTV and Arsenal channels to laugh. And
Yeah.
now it's Chelsea. Now it's Chelsea have taken over. The laughing is at Chelsea and United. But I think you guys, if you beat us tomorrow convincingly, and I repeat this, it has to be like a convincing beating. I think that puts a mark, Because last season I
I
told
don't.
people, like I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to say that it's a must win, but just saying it puts a mark because that charity shield, how you guys were so happy saying this is something, I still respected that. I would do the same for a team that took the trophy off us. I'll do the same. But I used to play football, and our coach used to say, these guys always make us look silly or always beat us, even at home and away. If we beat them, regardless we don't win the trophy, they will sit in their brain saying this team is serious with us. So I just feel like tomorrow, if I was an Arsenal fan, I'll be like, if we beat them, let's say if we beat us convincingly, 3-1, and it's convincing, I'm pretty sure everybody's gonna sit down and say, you know what? I don't care if Rodri. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care if Rodri is there. we've still beaten them convincingly. I don't know if I'm being wrong. I just saying that's
I don't. Yeah, go on.
Yeah,
Go on.
just
T.
before you go, Wilf, then I'll let you go. Just on this is, I'm just gonna have to pop you on mute when, and then when you come on, yeah, just because of the feedback there. But what I was gonna say is yeah. So with this, I don't think we're at a stage where we need to definitely beat Manchester City like in a convincing fashion yet. As long as we get the win, that's the most important thing. Because when we're going into this record, we haven't beaten Manchester City in our last 12 games. We haven't picked up. Have we picked up a draw in Reese of late? I can't even remember. So the thing is, it's so important with this. It's still a young team. I know guys that we don't want to hear it, those who are rivals, but we're still a very young team who are still trying to get over this mental block. There's a psychological factor here when we come up against Manchester City, whether it's from Arteta against Pep. There's a psychological factor there. He's up against Pep. He's the person who really learned a lot from, who he's assistant under, and now he's trying to compete with him. And we've certainly shown that we can compete at that sort of level with him on at least in the Premier League and one competition. But also now we just need to get that win over you by any means necessary. And that psychological boost that it will give us, we will then be able to know, right, we are now here with Manchester City. It wasn't a fluke what we saw last season. It wasn't just riding high off of the first half of the season emotion, and then we saw a little bit of a downturn from the second half. And then when we got Saliba's injury, there was a bigger downturn in our form there, and we haven't quite started out of the blocks. But where Wilf has said we're trying to get this cohesion, learn how to understand how to break teams down in different ways, coming up against different opponents who are going to set up with low blocks. This is what Manchester City have been used to facing for years and years, and they've been breaking them down, and they know how important it is to break them down and the patterns of play that's needed to do that. With those expectations now on us in this home game, the pressure's there. If we can manage that, then it's a massive psychological factor. And we don't need to, I think we need to take one step forward to beat you before we can say, right, now we need to put a convincing marker down.
You see what you said, I'm just going to tell you two things. Some Arsenal fans said something to me and I understood things. Like as much as we banter Arsenal fans, I'm not saying, sometimes majority, but your fan base has got people who, when they sit down and talk ball, like the two of you right now, we're sitting down and talk ball, you talk ball, we remove the banter side, sometimes trying to throw, because I also can banter. I sometimes know, you know what, this player is better than my player, but I'm going to fight to hell, tooth and nails. Somebody said he sees some of your weaknesses at the Emirates is emotion. Yeah. That sometimes you get too emotional, your players get too emotional. And he was begging Arteta and the players not to get emotional against City. Says not to, says if it's the emotion, it has to be the right emotion where it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's a positive, or not get triggered by, because last season there was a bit of triggering. Remember, people were throwing things at De Bruyne as he's walking. Like it's as if Arteta was having that sideline fight with De Bruyne. Like those things, you have to manage them. Because even Pep Guardiola accepted, saying, when I was younger, as a manager, and remember he was in Spain. Do you remember what Pep used to do in Spain? Throw bottles. Him and Mourinho used to want to fight. Like he says, I was a bit childish, immature. There are things I don't do now. When he came to City, he still had some of that. Remember at the first season, he was throwing bottles, but now all he does is sit down on his chair and just like Ferguson in his last years, they sit down and just sit there. I think Arteta, he's growing. He has to. He's learning. I don't blame him. He's young. He's gonna grow into that. But I think tomorrow's emotions, also from your side, I think have to be in check, because I think last season we beat you based on emotion. I think even the same thing, if you remember, same thing at. There's another team also, because of emotion, things went. Liverpool. Remember with Xhaka. It all started with Xhaka, which I think I rate Xhaka, but Xhaka's emotions sometimes used to go over the team. I think you guys have to be calm. It has to be business. Yes, the emotion has to be positive. But as you're saying, if you beat us, it is what it is. The same way I tell people, if you beat Man City, we are the measuring stick. Whether people like it or not, at this point in time, if you want to measure your strength, you go against Man City. Whether it's Rodri or not, you still go against Man City. Because let's be honest, tomorrow, even without Rodri, City might decide to say, you know what, screw this. We have no Rodri. There's no point of control. Let's counter-attack this Arsenal team with Doku, Haaland, and Foden and Alvarez behind. You know what I mean? They'll be like, let's counter-attack them. The same way as Lens were doing. They were counter-attacking, fighting with you in the box. Let's do this. So at the end of the day, I can't wait because I know, you know what I love about Arsenal? I'm going to tell you guys what I love about you guys. Every time I've watched Arsenal, I love the fact that you guys, you are always playing football. I have never seen an Arsenal team pack the bus except the FA Cup against us, where Arteta beat us. That's the first time he packed the bus. But you guys love to play football. And I love teams that love to play football against City because regardless how shit City sometimes is or in bad form, if you play football with them and if you dare lose concentration and give space at the back, you're done. They're going to be done. So look, at the end of the day, I think he was speaking, so I would like him to continue anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, but yeah, you're both of you hit the nail on the head. I think we have to take a little bit of the emotion out of the game. I think we will. Again, this will show our maturity. I don't think it needs to be a convincing win. If we get any kind of win, whether it's 1-0, 2-1, 3-2, whatever it is, that psychologically, emotionally will be seismic in its shift, not just between these two teams, but I think across the league, people will start to look at Arsenal differently. That would be the hold on. This team ain't a one season wonder. They're in this for the long haul. They've learned from previous tournaments, previous games, previous seasons, and I think footballing Arsenal people see the progression season upon season upon season. And the way we win the game, forget about the personnel. I think it's how, like Patrick said, we manage our emotions in this game. Because the crowd are good, the Emirates is going to be rocking. It is going to be pumping. But the players need to maintain that calm and play our football. Just keep playing our football, because when we've lost against them, it's when we've lost our heads. It's when we've tried to do too much. It's when we've become impatient. It's when we think, yeah, we've gotten by the throat, and City have rope a dope us. You know what I mean? They let us punch ourselves out, and then bam, 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 combination, and we're on the floor. We need our big players to step up, and I mean all of them. I'm sure you're going to go to this, but for example, I wouldn't play Raya tomorrow. I don't think it's a game for him. I think emotionally, Ramsdale is the guy, and it's going to sound difficult for me because you know that
wait. The guy who's been the guy with the clean sheets, you're not going to play him.
Trust me. The reason why I'm saying that is it's because he's in the two games that he's been tested, he has stumbled. I'm not going to say come up short. He has stumbled. A game of this magnitude, a game of being able to cope with the emotion. I think Raya would have too much to prove in this game, which would force him into errors that he ordinarily wouldn't make if we were playing, no disrespect to a Luton or a Forest or, a Sheffield United. This game needs someone who has played in big games before, played at a magnitude, and played with this much online. With all due respect to Raya, again, it's marginal between how good the two keepers are. He was playing for Brentford, and they were never on, even though they've beaten Man City, they were never in games of this magnitude that meant so much towards the title or where you're going to finish up in the end of the season.
Yeah, but the other guy looks more mature and more in tune with his emotions. That's what I'm seeing from him. I think that's what Arteta wanted. I think Ramsdale sometimes was getting a bit relaxed.
You're right.
He was getting out of like the.
You're right, but the situation that he's going to be in now, I'm thinking he is thinking in his mind, I need to prove that I belong here, because he's made two big errors in my belief, and he's going to want to rectify them, but might want to rectify them too much. And push himself a little too much and not play the game rather than the occasion. Now's not a time for someone to prove themselves. Now is a time it's for cohesion, it's to play the system, play the team that is on the pitch,
Yeah, but sorry, I'll be
not
asking you questions because
reputations.
sorry,
Yeah,
I'll
go.
be asking you questions because I forget things. You've said the key word. You've said somebody who doesn't want to prove himself. But if Ramsdale comes in this and he's been benched, holding bench for a while, is he not coming in and he will start saying, "Let me prove myself," and then tries to make those hero saves and then make mistakes? Because you're saying you're looking for somebody who's not willing to prove themselves. But Ramsdale, since he says, "I've been dropped,"
Misunderstood.
yeah,
Misunderstood. I'm talking about over proving himself, so over compensating for what, because everybody in that team is gonna want to prove themselves because it's City that we're playing. Yeah, I'm talking about the previous games where he, so close to this game, the Lens game, where as a keeper, because I played keeper and I played striker, as a
no, wait,
keeper,
was it him in the goal? It was Raya.
yeah, it was him. Yeah, it was Raya that was in goal for the Champions League game. For the Champions League game when he gave away that he misplaced the pass and got Lens back into the game, where we were completely in control. That in a keeper's head plays on his mind, so you want to go, right, I'm not making this happen again. I'm gonna, um it's just a different mindset than it is to an outfield player. You think about those things and you want to overcompensate. You want to make a big save. You want to do this, that, and the other. Whereas, yes, you're right. Ramsdale will have something to prove, but I think him being on the bench might have settled him and go, right, okay, let me calm myself. Let me not get overexcited. Let me uh do what I need to do and no more. I don't need to prove myself because I've been here before. I just need to make sure that this is mistake free and I keep my concentration. And I think personality wise, he's better at that than Rhea. And because he's been here before. He's played in North London derbies. He's played it. He played a whole last season and stuff. So that's just, again, purely my opinion and what I would do. I don't necessarily think that's what Arteta's going to do. I think he will stick with Raya. But yeah, that's my concern from the goalkeeper perspective.
Yeah. Because I want to hear both of your starting lineups in terms of who you want to play, and then when we do get into the starting lineups, I want to talk about the key matchups that we're going to have, because of course there's a lot of questions about who's even going to be fit and available for Arsenal, and there was kind of some questions, but Pep kind of played them down with like John Stones and the likes of. But first, before we get into the lineups and that, I want to ask Patrick, and then I'll ask you, Wilf, in regards to this. What's your thoughts been on Arsenal this at the start of the season? The games that you've been able to catch them. There's been a lot of talk within the fan base in terms of the thing. There's been doom and gloom, but there's also been some, like what Will said. We appreciate that we're still unbeaten whilst we're trying a lot of new systems and having a lot of players in and around. But I want to hear from an opposition's point of view. What have you made of Arsenal this season?
Yeah, the same as us. I know you're getting gassed up, and we were also getting gassed up when we were unbeaten. This whole thing, unbeaten thing, I think Arsenal shouldn't be gassed up with it, especially Spurs. I also told Spurs fans, don't get gassed up with because all the teams, let's be honest, I know we just want points on the board. We've been playing, but it's not the same, isn't it? Like last season, even when we were shit, at least I was like, yeah, you know what I mean? This season, West Ham started convincing me. I was like, Brighton a bit, then Newcastle started poorly. Now Newcastle in a few games have actually beaten people convincingly. What I mean by convincingly is I always judge teams by beating people convincingly. I know sweating and grinding is part of the game, but I want you to give me a few games where I'm like, yes, you're at that level. You know what I mean? Arsenal, I think you're not as good as last season. Same as City. I can say the same for City. Same as for Newcastle, even though they're doing these 5-0s. I think Newcastle has just been lucky because I expected them to beat Liverpool when Liverpool were down to 10 men, and I put a bet and lost on it. I was embarrassed by Newcastle when they did that. I just feel like for me, especially for City, this might be our biggest test. And I give compliments to you guys, our biggest. But Arsenal, so far, I don't know if you can agree with me. I haven't seen the Arsenal I saw last season. Last season, I was scared, and I admitted on my stream I was scared. I was like, "What's going on?" I was asking myself one time when I was getting ready for work last season, when brushing my hair, I was like, "Is this really going to happen? Is Arteta really going to snatch our chain in his third season or second season as manager?" But now, when I watch you guys, I want to say this: you guys are beatable, even with Declan Rice in there. You guys are beatable. I like the fact you can be good at. That's why when I was doing a preview, I was saying, regardless of the fact you guys right now, if we look at who is stronger in midfield, I would give it to you guys. But somehow, Saliba and Gabriel this season, I would gladly say we can get to you with Saliba and Gabriel. Than last season, you guys were impossible. As much as I am, for me personally, I would say this to you guys. I am very disappointed that this season people have thrown away Thomas Partey like he meant nothing. The fact I have seen, and it's heartbreaking because I have seen people throw this guy away, take him from, and I was accepting it last season when they say Thomas Partey is close to Rodri, or Thomas Partey is balling the first season than Rodri. I accepted that. I was like, he was actually balling the first season. Him and Xhaka were impossible, were hard to get by. So look, I just feel like Arsenal is easier to get at right now than last season. I don't know if I'm wrong with that. I think you guys made a big mistake buying Kai Havertz. I don't care if he scored. I'm still not convinced. I believe you guys could have either invested in a striker who is more clinical than Gabriel Jesus. I love Jesus. I used to fight for Jesus when people did Jesus versus Martial, Jesus versus Aubameyang. I remember I knew that Aubameyang was better, but I still brought Jesus to the fight and defended him shamelessly. Jesus is a very tacky player, beautiful player. I love him. His attitude is great. He's hardworking. But I think my brother Jesus was never meant to be a striker. I think you're meant to be a winger, my brother, because when you became a winger for City, within 2 games, you got 6 assists within 2 games. So I just feel like 65 million Havertz was a waste of money. You should have bought a striker. You should have invested in a striker who I think if you invest in a striker, you would have been more dangerous right now. Somebody clinical. Word is clinical. I don't mean invest in a striker who's better than Jesus, because Jesus is a talent. That's a Brazilian talent. And when we bought him, we knew what we bought. But I mean like somebody clinical who's able to just score. I don't care if he has to do nutmegs or salsa dancing. No, I just want him to score. But this season, I think you guys are easier to get at than last
Can I
season.
stop you there?
Go
Can I
yeah,
just
go ahead.
pause you there for a second? I totally agree with you, but you can't buy what's not there. There wasn't, for 65 million, we were not going to get the striker that you just described. I totally agree with you. I would have loved to seen a striker come in, but there wasn't one for the price that
Do you think
we
he could have
were
tried
going
to push for that guy, Juve, who was being benched? I think he's very good. What's his name?
For who?
Vlahovic.
No, no.
You don't
Vlahovic,
rate
no.
him. I rate him.
No, the reason why I don't rate him is because I mean I'm not gonna pretend that I watch a lot of Serie A. But his biggest test was going to Juventus in the most defensive league in the top 5 in Europe. Yeah. And whether it's Juve's system or whatever it is.
No, he has issues with they had issues with the manager. That's why he
Right. Okay. Fine. He had issues with
the
he had issues with the manager. I don't think he would have been. I was never a huge fan of him before he went to Juventus. Anyway, I don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's crap, but he wouldn't have been the piece that we needed. He would have been the same as Havertz. He would have struggled to cope, to understand the Premier League and the first season syndrome. I think it long term we will see. I still believe that the Havertz will be a genius move by Arteta. I've got no basis for comparison, and people have probably called me mad, but they called me mad when they said I said we were going to finish second last season, so I'll take that. I agree with what you say.
Did you predict you're going to finish second?
Yep.
What gave you that? I just want to hear from Arsenal fan, because you're the first Arsenal fan who's coming out to say that. Because look, I was also scared. I gave up. I gave my hands up. So what made you think I don't think we're gonna cross the line here?
No. But it was the progression that we were making under Arteta. I saw where we finished the previous season when we finished 5th, and everybody said we bottled the top 4 and blah blah. But if you looked at the points tally, and it was literally 1 or 2 games had gone our way, we'd have finished 2nd. And I saw that we were on an upward trajectory compared to them down the road and Chelsea. And I saw what was developing, and so Tereak did the predictions, thing, and me and 2 other guys were the only ones, and people laughed at us and it was a bit crazy.
Of course, everyone was high that time. Everyone was high.
This is what I'm saying. But I saw the long-term picture. And like I said, I see that with Havertz as well. The only thing that's going to stop him is Havertz and his confidence. I don't think you're going to see suddenly he be the brilliant Havertz that could possibly be there tomorrow. But I think it may be the game where he is utilized most effectively since he's been at.
Let me say this. Let me.
Are you saying, guys? Wait, sorry. Pause. Are you guys throwing Havertz tomorrow? Please do.
Listen. Okay, we'll get into the lineups and that, and then
give me 1 second. Where I'm going to answer that, because there was a couple of things that I think the way that you're seeing Arsenal is giving people a false sense of security. Because no, we're not the same team as last season. We don't look as good, but I think we're actually better. We're better equipped, especially if we had Timber. He's not, but yeah, I think we are a better squad than we were last season. We may not be a better team, man for man, the 11 that's going on, because people have adjusted to Saka and Martinelli and whatever, even though they might not be playing tomorrow. I think we're a better squad, and we're more equipped for the long haul. And I'm hoping Pep and Man City take us as lightly as you are. I'm not saying you're taking us lightly, but as light as you are taking us, as not seeing us as good as last season tomorrow. Do you remember last season where people were saying how City were crap and Haaland isn't this and isn't that? It took him a while to settle in, and when everybody knew how everybody's tempo was, and what did Haaland do? He went on and broke record after record after record after record. But at the beginning of the season, people from the Community Shield onward, he's a waste of money. He's all the hype and all the rest of it, and it's Nunes is the man, and trust me.
Let me say
what. Go on.
With Kai Havertz, because I think what people are forgetting, the best performance that he's had in an Arsenal shirt was against Manchester City in the Community Shield. Yes, it was in a different game, Man City getting their players back, but we know about the occasion that when Arsenal come up against Manchester City, arguably one of our best performances that we had this season. We had chances. He had chances to score. He generated one of those chances himself, and that's where a lot of Arsenal fans, okay, I'm seeing what we're seeing here, and with his versatility, someone he can play up front. But when we're talking about Havertz, when you was mentioning with Vlahovic and Arteta is not playing Havertz predominantly as a striker. And even when he is playing as a striker or playing in that sort of position, on paper, he doesn't have that same sort of role. You'll see him connect a lot more. He's much more of a long ball option in terms of where Ramsdale was playing the ball directly to him. Well, another reason why I think we purchased David Raya, whose long ball distribution is second to none in the league, are the best and statistically proven. Hence why him and Ivan Toney had such such a good link up at Brentford. Having that option there, that's a big thing with Kai Havertz. And what you get with a Dusan Vlahovic, who is a different profile of striker. Yes, he's someone who's much more of a fox in the box, who wants chances, won't really get involved in the build-up play as much, or he's probably, I'd say, on a similar level to Eddie Nketiah on that front, but isn't going to be running down the channels, creating those sort of connections, which is what we want from Havertz. And yes, it has taken a while, but we are starting to see that. And I started to see, really, it was a shame, really, we lost that game against Lens, because at the start of it, he was looking a lot more fluid, sharp with his passes, getting in behind, linking up with Trossard, create that opportunity, and made a run in behind himself. And he's not playing as the focal point. We have to remember as Arsenal fans at times is how we have to put aside how we want to see us play and how Arteta wants to. I think that's a big
100%, 100%.
I think it's a big thing with what Pep Guardiola and Manchester City, how they've always evolved their team year in, year out. Yes, in the Centurion season where you had your flying forwards, you had left back and right back bombing on, and then soon after, the season following that, you had more of your inverted fullbacks where Cancelo was dropping in, playing at left back, coming inside, being an extra man in midfield. And now Manchester City's back line, they are literally just a straight back four with all four centre-backs playing in those fullback areas, having that defensive solidity, being a real physical dominant presence in both boxes, defending and attacking. So this is another version that we are beginning to see. Yes, it hasn't started as quickly as what Arsenal fans would have wanted, or even what I've thought, who's been a massive defender of Kai Havertz. But we have to understand, and this is where I kind of wanted to speak on the overview of Arsenal. Injuries have been a big factor as well, and why we haven't clicked as much. Because look at that left-hand side in particular. Let's not forget the start of the season where Gabriel wasn't even starting. And on that left-hand side where Kai Havertz plays, he had a different left-back in the first 4 games. It was Tomiyasu against Palace. It was Timber against Nottingham Forest, Kivior, and then Zinchenko came in the Man United game, and then we had the international break. So there is still players that we're trying to get in our front line as well, who haven't, Arsenal, we speak about compared to us the last season. Patrick, you said that Arsenal aren't as good. We're not looking as free flowing. This is a common opinion that's been out there, and I totally agree. We haven't been as free flowing. It's the statistics there to prove it, and it's not just the eye test. But another thing is, in the very first beginning of last season, we had Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli, Bukayo Saka play all of those first 8-9 games at this same point. Whereas this...
Exactly.
And you had Xhaka, who I highly rated last season.
Yeah, but you are right, Xhaka, and he was looking like a different player at that point, and it took him a while to settle in sort of that role and show the level that he got to. We had a very settled team. Everyone knew our best 11 and our strongest 11 that was fit at that point. A blind man could tell you that. Stevie Wonder knew it. But with how we've had to adapt this season, there's been a lot more rotation due to injuries and Arteta trying to have different ways to come up against opponents and really try and get different, we've had different signings. Declan Rice is a big addition and huge for Arsenal. And we can see he's had an impact defensively for us. But we've lacked when you said about Thomas Partey, and I saw Wilf nod in with this, 100% agree. Thomas Partey's ball progression is outstanding. That's why Arsenal fans were talking about him with the likes of Rodri before you went and won the treble, and Casemiro and the likes of them, and putting them in the top upper echelons of the best DMs in the world because of what he can bring.
Please, not anymore. Casemiro, not anymore.
Exactly. And I totally agree with you.
I told somebody, I was like, this thing where I think let me ask you this. Before he left Madrid, were we rating him? We weren't in this last years before. But guess what? As always, when somebody steps into United fans are the ones who put him back there. He's not anymore. I'm sorry. Declan Rice looks better than him. Partey, I would still pick better than Casemiro. If Partey walks into that Man United midfield, that team is better. Let's not lie.
That was the point that you made earlier, and I totally agreed with how it's been discussing how we've dropped him. Anytime that Partey has had even a 1% drop off, everybody's ready to crucify him, chuck him away, chuck him down the river, and all the rest of it. He was in the top 2, top 3 defensive midfielders in the league last season, without doubt. For 80% of the season, until we fell off when we did. The point that something you said, Tereak, that I wanted to add to add to. Another thing that people haven't taken into account with regards to Kai Havertz, he has not had the same front line consistently in front of him since he's come there. When he has had the best his best games, who has been playing in front of him? It's been Saka, Jesus, and Martinelli, or possibly Trossard. He's not had the consistency of players to find his rhythm, because all 3 of us have played football, and if a new brother comes in to play, you've got to learn his rhythm. Whether you're a centre back and it's your centre back pairing, or you're a striker and it's your strike partner, you have to find that rhythm. And that rhythm that you had with the one that you were happy with changes your rhythm, because your rhythm changes accordingly. And that is something that people haven't taken into account with Kai Havertz.
I think, and that's where I think you're right as well, in terms of understanding those relationships with Kai Havertz. When he's played with Eddie Nketiah, I'll be honest, Eddie Nketiah is not the style of foot striker stylistically that will get the best out of Kai Havertz, because they want to both occupy the same spaces. Whereas Jesus will allow that, and he'll free that up.
Exactly.
What we know with Gabriel Jesus, he'll roam left, right. He'll do whatever he wants in that pitch. He has that freedom for Arsenal to roam where he wants, and that's where he seems like he's thrived the most. And the best seen with Jesus is with that, and not having Eddie Nketiah, who's much more comfortable. He's been doing a lot more of the hold-up play, but he's much more comfortable to be in the box. Let me work in and around there. I'll make runs that will get me those opportunities. Whereas, mate, Jesus, I think the perfect goal was against PSV, the Trossard one. Have a look at that one, guys. Watch it back, because Jesus' run, he ran. He knew he wasn't getting that ball, but that left the space created for Trossard, who could sweep it in with his right foot there and then. Whereas with Eddie Nketiah, even in the Man United goal, I watched it back today as I was looking on Realist's channel. Eddie Nketiah, it gets in the way of Odegaard in that space, but thankfully Martinelli was able to pick a pass out through legs. Literally through legs to find Odegaard. He was able to sweep it. Patrick, you as a Man City fan, most of your goals come from cutbacks, and that's where
they used to, though. They used to. These days, it's not actually a cutback. These days is more. Through balls. It's more those short passes to Haaland, and he makes those runs. I'm gonna have to run, because I remember I told somebody I'm also jumping on the stream. But busy, but all I can say is, I want to just say one thing. If I remove banter, and obviously banter side, I think Arteta, as Pep said, and Pep sometimes is a liar, let's be honest. He lies too much. He's lied to people that you're the best player I've ever seen. He's lied to managers before he beats them 7-0. That this guy is the best. I remember when we told Brentford manager.
It was a tough game. It was a tough game.
Yeah, do you remember? He said, Graham Potter is top level. They beat them 5-0. But Arteta, when he said, you saw his emotion when he said, I think he told the journalist, respect, because he's his friend. He's like, respect. Arteta one day will be one of the best managers, and you eat your words. I think he was saying some guy who said, should have Arteta stayed as your number 2? Yeah. I am more worried about both teams, to be honest with you. I'm being fair. Even though Liverpool is scaring me, because they're going down to 10 men and still playing football as if it's not 10 men. But anyway, all I can say is, good luck tomorrow, gents. I know on the group chat we're going to be bantering each other.
Of course.
I hope you guys, if it's your day, you go easy on us. But as I warned you guys from the beginning, I have been shocked by this team, Man City, that when we are down and under, even like last season, when people think, oh, this is the game they get beat, they show up and surprise me. Because let me be honest, when we went to the Emirates last season, I thought you, man, I'm going to rinse us 5-0. I sat in the pub, I was drinking. I just told people, please don't talk to me until the game is over, because I thought you guys were going to beat us. But somehow this team, when they're down under, I don't know what Pep tells them. That's when some people step up. But let's not forget, this is not the same Man City. That midfield
I was
has
just
changed.
gonna say that.
It's not the same Man City.
There's
So it's not John Stones in there. It's not De
yeah.
Bruyne or Riyad Mahrez. Because Riyad Mahrez, John Stones, and De Bruyne, especially De Bruyne, both of you can agree with me. That man has a personal hate
for Arsenal.
Has a special place.
Yeah.
He can
like
be
Robbie
injured.
Fowler, like Robbie Fowler of the past. I can't
Would
stand
you be
him.
surprised if he is willing to get injections just to
mate, if he had leg transplants, I wouldn't be surprised for tomorrow.
just for
but going to what you're saying though, just quickly before you go, I think the lack of experience in this team in Man City's team compared to last season might benefit us in what you are saying with the levels and what you need to do when you're not playing as well, because you've got a lot of new players in there that haven't experienced that Man City-ness. Gundogan's gone, Mahrez is gone, you name the people that have gone and who are injured. That mentality, that lack of mentality is not going to be in the team tomorrow. And because it came from Pep, but it didn't just come from Pep. It come from players who had won title year after year. All those guys, title after title, year after year. They got into a rhythm, they got into a system. But you've got that new left, the guy that plays on the left. Can't remember his name.
He is one that Arteta better put the right foot back.
Oh,
That kid is not even moving on Pep mode. You know, like it's one of those kids that let's say somewhere you say we play football. It's one of those new players. You're like, just leave him. He's new, but he's cooking because that kid is not even moving. Run. That's not even a Pep
just give him the ball. Just give him the ball. Don't worry about him in the system. Just give him the ball. Let him do his thing.
One thing, please, before I go. Can you please tell Arteta, if one of you guys have links, or if Arteta you're watching this, please play Zinchenko against Doku. Please, I beg you. I want to see something. I want to see.
That's if he plays Doku on the right.
Because if let's say if Zinchenko is playing the other wing and Pep says switch, because the kid plays both feet, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I love Zinchenko, but there's no way. Because I know Saka. I remember when we played against you and we had Zinchenko. I knew Saka was gonna grill Zinchenko, and they grilled him. Yeah. And I love Zinchenko because Zinchenko understands what Pep wants, where you go into midfield. That's why Arteta is so happy with him. Because when you get into that midfield and you have people like Zinchenko, if you notice Arsenal fans, Zinchenko never gives the ball away. I want you to show me a video where Zinchenko has given the ball away. You will never find a clip. He never gives the ball away. He's very good. And even City players like De Bruyne used to say, I give the ball away, but Zinchenko will never give the ball away even in tight situations. But the thing about Zinchenko is, let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, he was not bought as a fullback. He was a number 10. This was a wonder kid from Ukraine who was a number 10. Yeah. So he's not a fullback. So I'm begging you, Arteta, please, just play Zinchenko against Doku and give... because
that's one of the matchups I'm worried about. That's one of the matchups
because I know Ben White can handle him. Ben White can handle. Temiyasu is a warrior depending on his day. But guys, I'm gonna have to go. I big up to you
Patrick,
guys.
It's been a pleasure, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I linked this to my Twitter. It's still going to be playing on Twitter so that people can come in. And people, guys, who are watching on Twitter on my page, please subscribe to this, guys. Share them a like. Big up, man. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you, Patrick. Thanks, my bro. Enjoy yourself. But before we get into our lineups, Wilf, and then we start talking about what we want to see tomorrow, etc., I want to get through some comments because we've got plenty of comments in here. And because with the chat's been going back and forth, I don't want to neglect these guys. But really do appreciate you all here in the chat.
Big up to everybody in the chat. And we
didn't get time to get this one through to Patrick Oldie, but we managed to squeeze in there. Which one is more worried about? And he said both. So there we go there. But the next one I've got here is Anthony in the place. Big up to yourself, Anthony. Love to see you in here. Says, big up, guys. Should we play Saka knowing he could get injured more and be out for a more length of time? Before, don't let me know if if you'd play him if he was in your starting lineup. Give us, the situation around him. What do you think is best for him, Wilf? If he's fit and he's fit, would you still play him?
I wouldn't start him. I wouldn't start him in this game. The intensity and the way he would play, I wouldn't start him. I'd start. I would when we get to the lineup. I'll tell you, but I wouldn't
Okay,
start him.
don't let me know who you'd put in his place. Just tell
Yeah,
me.
I wouldn't start him. I don't get me wrong. I'd
Right.
love to see him start because I think he would break down and it could be more long term. I would manage him better.
The risk
think
is not worth the
I
reward.
think, risk reward thing. I think if we brought him on later in the game when legs are tired, he'll be more effective, and then we'll get more out of him. You know what I mean? And it's. I know it sounds weird, but an extra 45 minutes before he plays, and he sees the temper of the game and he can see what's going on, and with him coming on against tired legs, there's less likelihood of him getting kicked. There's less likelihood, and there's more effect that he can have. Does that make sense?
I hear you. I'll give you
Right.
my thoughts.
Yeah, go on.
If he's fit, he starts for me. And if he's not fit enough to start, I don't even want him on the bench, because the reason being is because with the stage that he's at in his season, and he's not. It's not like the same.
I agree with that.
Martinelli.
I agree with that. I'm not saying
Yeah.
if where I would put him is only if he's fit enough to play, start or whatever.
Because with Saka, I wouldn't even bench him. The people saying, "Oh, if he's seen fit, put him on the bench." The reason being, with the fitness thing, I'll just tell you, like the professionals say, he's at this stage in the season. He's missed 2 training sessions at the most, if that. Yeah, due to this hamstring injury. His actual cardiovascular capacity levels aren't going to be affected by this. That's not going to be affected. So the only issue is if Arsenal put him on the bench, is because they see that it's a high risk of that injury reoccurring. And that for me is not worth it. Because if we're in a situation against Man City where we're 1-0 down and we look to bring Bukayo Saka off the bench, the best way to look at it, guys, do you remember when Fabregas last against Aston Villa, he started on the bench, came off the bench, scored 2 goals, went off injured. Yeah. And then we lost him for a period of time after that. But he won us the game, and it was a big moment. I've seen it going around on Twitter today even. That's the only time these players will get put on the bench, is if there is a higher risk of there having a recurrence. If there isn't, and he's deemed fit to play, and the risk isn't as big, and he's recovered from that hamstring injury, there's always a likelihood of it being muscular that he can.
100%.
So,
but my reasoning would be tactical.
Yeah. Well, would it be okay? Interesting.
And for the reasons that I said, in a game like that, Pep, everyone's expecting Saka to play. If he's on the bench, it's like it's almost a psychological thing. And I think he would be more impactful coming up against tired legs. This is him if he's fit and he could play the 90 minutes, or he could start. Tactically, I would bring him on. It's just gamesmanship, really. It really is gamesmanship.
Okay.
I wouldn't start him.
We'll get into that a bit later. But let me see what everyone else is saying. I think psychologically we need a result. It's imperative that we start well, and the lineup is critical. Could be crucial.
100%.
We win or lose. 100% agree as well. Depending on who we're going to see starting, and it's going to be very interesting with what we do go with. Not even necessarily what we think is going to be, or what we suggest, because we've got questions about Thomas Partey. How fit is he going to be? Hasn't played a game since, when was it? When was his last game he played for us? Was it
before
Fulham?
the international break? Yeah, Fulham.
Was it Fulham? Yeah, since that Fulham game. So, and then who do we start at fullback? As Patrick said, he wants Zinchenko there. Do we mix it up? Do we change some certain things? So it's very true. And Arteta, who is a bit of the mold of Pep, where he'll overthink on a certain thing, and he'll make a change
100%.
that we won't necessarily. Because I remember last year when we played City, we went with Tomiyasu over Ben White. And I understand that. And because I think in a 1v1 defensive thing, Tomiyasu's our best 1v1 defender. Arteta even said that himself. Someone who can play.
Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. He's a defender. He's a defender first.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas Ben White, who is a fantastic defender, no, getting that wrong. But just for that matchup up against Grealish at that moment in time, he thought that Tomiyasu would excel. And then we saw Tomiyasu make that big mistake for the De Bruyne goal. So we got here, Mr. 200 says, I need to see how we get on with Partey and Rice. I think I 100% think that Partey starts, or why would Arteta bring him in? He's not going to bring him back now just to play for Ghana.
That's the one. You know what you said about Saka? Yeah. That's what I think about Partey. We have to start with Partey, Rice, and Odegaard. That's a no-brainer for me. Okay. If he's fit enough to go
you're going Ghana into the lineup already.
No. I'm just saying because with this one, because we know that we everybody knows that. That's not a surprise. But
I think it is because that's not the midfield that I've gone with.
Well, okay, but but only in what you said about Saka is if he's fit enough to be on the bench, then I would start him.
But that's not, but because Partey's been out for so long, that's not always the case. You've seen it with Zinchenko. Yeah, he wasn't just thrown straight into the team from the start. He had to get a few minutes from off the bench first. You have to do that with these certain things. But because Saka literally played on Wednesday or Tuesday, he's not going to have lost fitness.
No. Yeah, exactly.
He's not going to read that.
Right, but that's precisely for the reason because I'd prefer Partey to come on to start the game, and if for any reason he breaks down, we then bring on Jorginho. But if we start, for example, we would start with Jorginho and then make the substitution, and Partey was to break down, then we're screwed. Do you see what I mean about the I'd rather take the risk of putting him on there and breaking down rather than bring him on as a substitute and then he breaks down.
But it's not that he's with it though, Wilf. It's not that he's going to break down if he comes on necessarily because he's fit enough now to play. Like that's what Arteta said. But you were being fit enough to play in Thomas Partey's situation doesn't mean you're going to be fit enough to play 60 minutes. He might be fit enough to play at the most 45, just like how we saw with Jesus. Remember when he came back from that injury, he wasn't thrown straight into the team. He had to come off of the bench against Fulham, against Man United. And then after that, he got his first start. Being fit enough, when you've been out for a longer period like that, where you've missed a lot of training sessions, a lot of games, you will have lost in your cardiovascular match sharpness. So I highly, highly doubt, Wilf, that he will be fit enough to come in and play 90 minutes. Or
no, I don't expect him. I don't expect him to play 90 minutes.
Get 90. Let's say 60. I don't. Yeah. He's got 0 minutes from that Fulham game. Do you understand? He's not. If
I know, but
Lons, then okay. You've got more likelihood for.
I'll tell you the difference between him and Saka. When Partey comes off the bench, he's very rarely as effective as when he starts a game and goes into. He's someone that needs to be there from the beginning of the game. In my opinion, he needs to be there from the beginning of the game to be as effective, to be as fully effective Partey self, fully effective work place self. You know what I mean?
Hear you, and I hear you in terms of performance, but in terms of actual physical capability at this point, we've seen Partey start games and break down straight away because of it's too much too soon. That's a bigger risk. If we've started Partey when we know he can't play more than 45 minutes, let's say we bring on Jorginho for the second half when it gets a lot more important. For me, this is my personal opinion, I would much rather start Partey anyway. I mean, I would like to start Partey if he was fit. Of course, I think this would be perfect. But I would rather him come off the bench and have the latter part of the game where the legs are beginning to tire. The intensity isn't going to be as high because their intensity drops later on in game just through natural ability. At the very start of the game is when it's at its very sharpest peak. You know, players pressing, the engagement is a lot higher, and the spaces are a lot shorter. We saw in the Community Shield, for example, when as soon as Partey pressed and we weren't able to quite recover as quickly because Declan Rice's legs began to go, and we saw at the very beginning of the season, Declan Rice had to get substituted a lot of the times because he wasn't at that physical capability yet to do what Arsenal want him to do in terms of the press. When the spaces begin to get bigger, that's when I want Partey there because he will thrive better than a Jorginho in big spaces. We know that Jorginho in big spaces, whew, that's not what he thrives at because he can't cover those in those.
I get that. I get that. I'm thinking the opposite way because I would like us to have controlled the game and then bring Jorginho on. But I hear what you're saying, and I wouldn't lose my proverbial bowels, let's say, if it went the way that you just described. If we did it that way round. It's much of a muchness. You know what I mean? It's you know, if we start with Partey Rice in the same team, I think we affect the game more and we take more control over the game for longer periods. I'm looking back at the Community Shield.
No, I 100% agree with you. Like that's I'm not doubting that. And that's what I 100. If everyone's fit, well, mate, it's not even a question. Partey starts, but he's
100%.
not played it. He's not played it. I think, guys, what we just need to understand is he hasn't played a single minute since the Fulham game.
I know. I get that. But like as I said, obviously Arteta and the Arsenal coaching staff know and see more than we do, and they know the metrics, the biometrics of him.
And this is what I'll say to you, Wilf. I've literally given you examples. I'd love for you or anyone else to give me an example where a player's been out for a long period of time and they've started straight away. And what happened? I remember.
And you're. This is what I'm saying to you. You are right. And with Thomas Partey, given his injury record since he's come to us.
Exactly. And with it being a muscular injury, remember, he's already ahead of schedule. But what I was going to say for that is what Arteta is much more likely to do is slowly cook them in. Remember at the start of the season where everyone's saying, why isn't Zinchenko playing against Fulham?
Yeah.
Why isn't he starting?
Martinelli, when he did that season with Martinelli and all the Smith Rowe, and I totally get it. But yeah, when we get to the lineup, we'll go into more details. But keep going with the chat, man.
Yeah, exactly. Big up everyone in the place. Really appreciate you all. I know Odigwan Kenobi's got a head out. Mr. W says hook Partey at 60 minutes, replace it with J20. If Partey's fit, he must start. But Mrs. W says I can see Mr. T's logic regarding Partey.
But she's been on the sauce. She's been on the cooking show.
Hey, as Mr. W being on there as well. But now, big up everyone in the chat as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get through the lineups now, just because I'm cautious of time. Mum, and that's gone.
Yeah.
I don't want to wake up.
Yeah.
See what it is late.
You can't get grounded for tomorrow, man. You know what I mean? You don't get to see the game.
Exactly. So this is the lineup that I've gone with, and it has a big-ish change because it's a change that we haven't quite seen before. But once again, I think Arteta might make a big decision that we haven't seen before anyway. So I've gone with David Raya in goal, and it was interesting listening to you when you were talking about the Ramsdale thing. I hear your points of view, and with Arsenal fans, I think we definitely do have an emotional attachment to him because 1, his personality, 2, how long he's been in, and 3, his performances. We've seen him perform in top end games. But the reason
pivotal to us being where we are now.
Yeah, exactly. But the reason why David Raya, I would start him, and I think, and the reason why Arteta would as well, is what I've seen in those games against Everton, PSV, Bournemouth, and even Lens. How Arsenal are the versatility he provides systemically is an absolutely outstanding outlet. And what when we talk about Ramsdale with his distribution, it's not that Raya's is really that much better. I think it is better, but it's not like nothing major.
No, it's marginally better.
Yeah, exactly. Because Ramsdale is very good, but what it is with Ramsdale, his decision making in those moments. We've seen him go long a lot more, and Arteta has shown a lot of frustration to that, and that's not exactly what Arteta wants him to do.
Yeah.
That's the player making that choice. Whereas David Raya will implement what Arteta wants to do more comfortably than what Ramsdale does. Ramsdale's openly come out and said, "Yeah, this is new for me, and what I'm doing is I'm working a compromise with the manager
Yeah.
in terms of in terms of playing out of the back. It's not his forte. Whereas for David Raya,
That is his bread and butter. That's his forte. That is his forte.
Exactly.
Literally is.
So
and I get that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be pulling my hair out if Raya is the starting keeper.
Yeah.
You know, I just think for this particular game, mentality wise, I would go with Ramsdale. But I hear everything that I've not really got an argument for everything that you've just said. It makes sense. It's right, and you are correct. But it literally is just mentality. You remember what Patrick was saying about us getting overexcited and all the rest of it? I just think Ramsdale would be the calmer of the two.
If you see, I completely disagree. Ramsdale doesn't exude calmness to me. When I watch Ramsdale, he is emotional, and we see a lot more, which is why he performs better away from home than he does at home. And the mistakes that we've seen the most from Ramsdale have come when we've been at home. And
when I say that, I mean I don't mean yes, Raya is the more calmer personality, but I just think the intensity of this game, Ramsdale suits more. Because if you look at all his big games, the ones where he's been outstanding and done these, was the Liverpool game, the North London derby, the games where we needed him, the Man United game, and various other games, the big massive games. That's what he lives for. And even though he's hype inside, that's his calmness, if that makes sense.
And what I will say for you as well, in a lot of those were away from home, for starters.
Yeah. And you make a really good, excellent point.
A lot of them. The thing is, I think those games went not exactly how Arteta would want them to, where his goalkeeper is being forced to make a lot of saves. That's not what Arteta wants, and I think
no manager wants that.
When we look at those things, and if we strip it back, and this is nitpicking at the very most, and I understand a lot of with these guys, guys, it does seem like nitpicking, but we have to do that to get to the top, to be these kind of people. Yeah, is a lot of these chances that we're getting upon us is come from a long ball, because Ramsdale's not quite comfortable in that situation, and he's made the decision to go long there, and it's come back at us, and we've kind of got under siege in those games. All away, and that didn't go. But there was other things.
Ball retention. Starting from the keeper is better under Raya.
And another thing that I think Raya is hands down, and this is the only place where I think there's quite a big gap. Claiming crosses. He's there's no I'm not gonna there's no argument again there. I mean, and as I said to you, it really doesn't matter to me. I just think I would have put it this way, I would have been more comfortable with Raya if he had more games. Like if this game had come, I don't know, 4 games, 5 games down the line, I would be more comfortable with Raya handling this game than I am now, because he's had so few games in goal for us. Yeah, and the intensity. This is the biggest game that he's played in an Arsenal shirt. Yeah,
I would argue it's the biggest. I can't remember where he come from when he was at before he was at Brentford. I would argue this is the Blackburn. This is the biggest game of his career so far.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and that's totally fine.
And that's no disrespect to any of the other teams or whatever, but this is the biggest game so far with everything that's riding on it. And I just it's minuscule
Yeah.
in my uh feelings about this. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it if Raya is starting, but I just think that edge, and these are the edges that win you games like this. Ramsdale would be better, but
Yeah.
that's it.
As I am the minority here, and most people have put Ramsdale in here, and I can understand as well, guys.
Yep.
I kind of because Ramsdale's someone that we have an affinity with in our heart. We've seen it. We've seen his performances. We've seen him have big games, etc. As well. But right now, I think Arteta, David Raya is his number one, and
Yeah.
And to be honest, from what I've seen, people have the first mistake. I don't think that. Yeah, he makes an error in that Spurs goal, but there's two more errors beyond that for me.
Yeah, but if he makes that, if he doesn't make that error, then the other two are negated.
Of course,
And for me, that was this is what I'm talking about when I say to you about decision making in big games, because he wanted to prove himself just that bit more. He didn't do the basics correctly, which he should have just tipped it over the bar.
When we talk about decision making in big games, I don't forget some of Ramsdale's big decisions in big games.
I'm not. This is what I'm saying to you. I'm not, and this is why I caveat it in saying that because of the errors that have happened most recently with Raya, he may try and overcompensate, and it's totally me. There's no real foundation for me saying this.
Yeah,
but it's just a feeling in my water.
Okay, fair enough. The back four that I've gone for is Tomiyasu, Gabriel, William Saliba, and Benjamin White. I've moved Zinchenko out of there, as you can see. I put Zinchenko into the midfield alongside Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard. Big reason being is those wide threats that Manchester City have. I'm sorry. What Patrick was saying there with Jeremy Doku, he's 1v1 speed demon, can play off the left, can play off the right. I want my best defenders in that scenario there.
And I
also do want to make sure I do have Zinchenko a part of this team as well, because he can.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I didn't actually think about putting Zinchenko in this way, but yeah, I like that. I actually very much like that.
Our best ball progressor by a mile. There's a night and day difference when Zinchenko doesn't play for Arsenal and when he didn't have his best game against Lons at all. And Patrick says he never gives the ball away, but he gave the ball away 8 times.
He has done. He has done. There's games. I couldn't remember the specific games, but when he does, it's led to us losing or conceding a goal, especially at home.
Because it's rare, and I think the reason why we notice it is because it doesn't really happen. It's like when we talk about goalkeepers' mistakes.
Yeah,
goalkeepers' mistakes lead to goals. With Zinchenko, because of how we set up when he's on the ball, we take so many more risks because of his ball security. So
and there's no safety net behind him because he's actually supposed to be the safety net.
Exactly. So I still think we want him. I want him in this team because our ball progression will lack a lot without him in here. So he's our best player through the lines in getting us transition through presses. Most press resistant player that we have. Him and Odegaard, them two are Jesus and Saka. We've got really good press resistant players. But Zinchenko in that first phase, outstanding. Declan Rice goes out saying really. Midfield enforcer, big game for him to shine. And Martin Odegaard. The only reason I haven't gone with Thomas Partey is just because I don't think he'll be. I don't think he's not going to be fit enough to play the full game. You probably want him to be fit enough to make it past 60 if he did start. And I'd much rather have him on for the set. If he was fit enough to play 45, drag off. I mean, one of these guys you can take off a Zinchenko or Tomiyasu and then have him there as well, because then he has what we lack in ball progression when Zinchenko's not there. Thomas Partey can make up for it. So
that's why he played him right back when Zinchenko was out the side.
Exactly. Odegaard in there, and if Saka's not fit, the change that I would make is I'd move Gabriel Jesus out to the right, Trossard out to the left, but I would still remain with Kai Havertz as false 9. I
would have Trossard off the bench.
Would you? Who would you start?
I would put him Reece. And the reason why I would put in Reece, if Saka's not in the side, because of the pace of Reece's pace.
Yeah,
Missing Saka and Martinelli really hampers us pace wise going against their fullbacks. Reece obviously he's not as quick as Saka, but he has guile and pace.
He's a direct
and
runner.
I would have Havertz in the center. Yeah, exactly. I would have Havertz in the center and play Jesus on the left.
I hear you on that. And do you know what? To be honest, if Arteta did go with that, I'd be happy and I'd be surprised. The only reason I'd be surprised is because he didn't start him in that Tottenham game, yeah. And now, and that was my thing. I wanted Reece Nelson in that Tottenham game to start with his direct up against the space that they leave in behind. Man City,
I think we missed the trick when we didn't do that.
Exactly. So that's the only reason why I didn't even, to be honest, even think about it. But I wouldn't be too adverse seeing that either. But yeah, I just feel like with the only reason why I'd still go with Trossard is that big game. Trossard did it against Manchester City.
I as much as I've wanted Trossard in the starting lineup when Martinelli's been out, I really think he's more suited to impact coming on 45, 50 minutes into a game. He's such an intelligent player, and reads the game so well. He's like an Ollie Solskjaer when he played, or this is far beyond your time, but a Fairclough.
Yeah. Who?
Yeah, exactly. He reads the game state so well that when he comes on, it's like he's been there forever, and he changes the game so quickly that the other team doesn't have a chance to adjust.
Yeah.
And the games, even though the beginning of the season when we're in preseason, people were calling for Trossard, but when his worst games is when he started. This season has been when he started. I just think he is more of a rotational player rather than a squad player. You know what I mean? As in, like, you bring him in to change game states or alter game states or dictate game states.
Yeah.
And this would be one of those games.
Fair enough. Fair's enough. And the thing where I'll just say, be realist on the Havertz situation is Havertz had one of his best performances at false nine playing for Arsenal against Manchester City. And what he gives you in there, a direct option to go long if we're struggling under the press and we're struggling to play through how Man City want us to play. Someone who can
hold the ball
physically challenge. Yeah, exactly. And we don't just have one of them. We have two of them because Gabriel Jesus, no one's beating him in the air either.
Really. I know for someone that his size, he's ridiculously good in the air.
Exactly. And with Kai Havertz, someone who, as I said, I think this is going to be much more of a Kai Havertz sort of game than it is for Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to have as much of the ball as we tend to at the Emirates against opposition teams. We're going to be asking him to do a lot more defensive duty within the pressing, within the holding up, linking up, creating relationships. And I just think that's what Havertz suited better than Eddie Nketiah. Would you agree?
I think this is the game he's going to score from open play.
Hey, I'll take that, man. He's scored against City before, hasn't he? What game was that? Was that?
Yeah. That was the Champions League.
Champions League.
Yeah, I just think I know, but I just think with him getting that penalty and him going into this game and his mentality was like, well, I've done this against him before. I just think this will be the game. I mean, I could be wrong, and there's no reason for me to believe that because he's not suddenly going to turn things around. But I think this will be the game that does it for him. And especially if he gets a goal early, I see that. I personally would prefer to see or think it's going to be a Partey Odegaard, Rice midfield. I think Arteta would risk it that way because of how the Community Shield went. But given that, I think you are probably I can't really, for some reason, I cannot see Arteta playing Zinchenko in that role, even though it's a more natural role for him, and I think it would be wiser. But this will
would you see Arteta playing Partey at right back?
no, not in this game. No, and it'd be
No,
a
not in
waste.
this game.
I don't.
I'm saying Arteta's made a lot more changes this season than he has.
Yeah. I mean, I've never liked the Partey right back thing. And you know, I'm an Arteta fan in agenda, kind of guy. But this will be the biggest test of where Arteta is maturity wise in his managerial career, in the decisions that he makes in this game. I hope he doesn't outthink himself, which Pep has done previously. Yeah, I hope he can keep his emotions in check, as Patrick has said before, because that's the most important. If he does that, then the team will follow.
Yeah, I hear you. So, what's the rest of your team? Are you making up with here? So you went with Reece,
right. So, right. So, I would have Benjamin right back.
He playing left back.
This is the tough one because it's usually a no-brainer, but because of, I keep forgetting his name, the Doku. If Doku's playing on Man City's right, I play Tomiyasu. If he's playing on left, I play Zinchenko. So it is dependent, and I'm gonna go with Zinchenko. Just to be different, and I think Pep will play Doku on the left for Man City.
Hey, Mr. Westbird. He's alongside you. You know what? He doesn't like the Partey right back thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember Partey having a man of the match performance against us playing at right back.
Yeah, no. This is why Mr. W is the big man, because I'm going. Nah, I'm not having it.
I don't mind Partey at right back, me personally.
Yeah.
But who are you going with?
Like I said to you, and this is tactical rather than because if Saka's, I totally 100% agree with you. If Saka's not fit enough to start, he shouldn't be on the bench. But if he is fit enough to start, I would actually go with Gabriel Jesus, Havertz, and Reece Nelson, and bring on Saka as an impact. The main reason is because it's going to be so unexpected.
Yeah.
And Saka coming on, you as a defender, or you are a defender. Saka, when their best player comes on when you're knackered, it does something to your psyche. And it will psychologically, it will give City a false sense of security.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He is, Your Highness. And again, this is I totally agree with everything you said. I totally go with it. But this is my 11, and this is what I would do tactically. And that's where I'd go.
Fairs. I just find it mad how like if Saka's fit, you don't start him.
It's me doing that Arteta Pep overthinking thing.
Fairs.
It really is. Just to throw something in there different, and because we need to do something different. Yeah, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing again and expect different results. I want to win here. I think it's going to be 3-1. I can't remember if I put 3-2 or 3-1 in the predictions. Oh, and I need to ask you something about the predictions that I put in. It was a couple of weeks ago. I forgot one, but I'd put it in the chat, and I was wondering if it could go into my final score.
I did. I added it in there.
All right, cool, wicked. Love you. Yeah. But it literally, it literally is just the whole mind games thing. It really is, and just to try something different, and which I think we need to do. Which I think we need to do because we are, from a City perspective, we are still quite predictable. You know, Arteta is he's got under Pep has got under Arteta. He's in Arteta's head, and I think he needs to change things up and try something different. But we will see.
Yeah.
What time's kickoff tomorrow anyway?
4:30.
Okay,
Kickoff.
cool.
Just before we wrap up, I want to see what you guys and girls have been saying in terms of your 11s. Mr. Wesbird says, same lineup for me, same as Wilf, except for Tommy for Zinni and Trossard in for Havertz. Right there. So I'm guessing you'd probably move Jesus, or would you try something different and stick Trossard in at the false 9? Let us know.
No, I think he's better on the left, but yeah, I think he'd probably prefer him on the left. Yeah.
Well, it's up to if you're doing the Arteta overthinking Pep Guardiola, he's allowed to as well if he wants.
Oh, of course he is. Of course he is.
I'm only messing. I think we will start Royal White. So I'm guessing saying Raya, White, Tomiyasu, Gabriel, Saliba, Partey, Martin Odegaard, Declan Rice, Jesus. He'd start Martinelli as well, and Nelson.
Is Martinelli in the squad though?
Rumours saying that Martinelli is contention to be with.
Yeah, but there's been rumours saying that he's been in contention since he did his hamstring in the first place. So that's kind of a mind game thing as well.
Potentially, yeah. He might be. I don't know. We haven't seen any training pictures this week, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Keeping on. Hey, you've been surprised. You've been surprised.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he brought back Henry, man. At this stage with Arteta, man. I really wouldn't.
Tommy starts at left back, better defender than Zinni, and tomorrow we're going to be under the hammer, so we need to defend and defend.
That, and that I'm no argument there, Mr. W.
Yeah. So same back 4, but Ramsdale in goal, Jesus wide right, Trossard or ESR on the left, and Havertz up front. Like the midfield with Zinni, with Odegaard and Rice baby.
Now, this is another one. She's brought up a really good point there because we've actually forgot to talk about ESR because I think he's starting to get back to where he was. And what was the game that he came on and had 2 chances and one scored? Bournemouth. And I just think the boy's hungry enough to do something in this game if we need to.
That was promising.
I love the fact that we will have Vieira, ESR, probably Reece Nelson, and our bench is looking stronger and stronger each time I look at it in games, and especially games like this. We do have game changes on the bench now. Yeah,
exactly that. But yeah, let's have a look, see anything else. Anthony said I would play Ramsdale. He helped us get to where we got to in the Champions League if it wasn't for him and the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Luke said if Jorginho plays, we have to play 4-2-3-1. 100% agree. Yeah, if Jorginho is in the team, we have to have Rice.
We have to.
You can't play. Let's be honest. Yeah, let's be honest. Jorginho played in the hole by himself last year because Thomas Partey got injured last. Yeah, Jorginho was very good. He wasn't. Yeah. The reason.
And with Rice's recovery pace and stuff, and the defensive awareness, sniffing out danger, we can get away with that.
If Jorginho starts, I'm not going all my days. You get it? Like, he's a fantastic footballer.
And I'm totally underrated. By the way, big up Luke on our political views being aligned. He knows what I'm talking. If you know, you know.
I know. I can see it with the avatar that he's got there. Yeah. Let's have a look. Luke says, "I don't want to see Saka at all, and don't want him going to England duty either."
Me neither.
Oh, his lineup, he's gone. So I've just seen one name that kind of popped out. He's gone Ramsdale, Saliba, Gabriel, Tomiyasu. I've gone with the same back 4: Odegaard, Partey, Rice, Kolja, Dubry.
I know.
At ESR.
That's a step too far for him. Not in a game like this. You can't bring in a boy in a game like this. I would love him. I would love to be proved wrong if he did, but I can't see Arteta doing it. Oh, by the way, I have to bet. Big up to my boy Mark Skelly, because his boy's just Mark Lewis Skelly. He's
Oh,
just
is
signed a
it?
new
Is it
contract.
Miles?
Yes,
You registered
yeah.
Miles?
Miles is my boy's son.
Is he
Yeah, we
really?
used to play. Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
He's a talent, one
yeah.
of the best players that we've got coming out of the
His dad was
academy
a
right
baller as
now.
well. I hate to say
Yeah.
it because we used to play against each other, rival schools and rival teams. But his dad was a baller as well, so it doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me in the slightest.
Oh, no, he's ridiculously good. Him and Ethan
Yeah, so
Nwaneri
big up
are the
to Paul
two
for yeah, he's a
massive,
bad boy,
massive
bad boy baller.
congratulations, because it's very hard to get a professional contract. You have to be
Yeah,
extremely talented, especially through
yeah,
Arsenal, to get a
yeah,
scholarship, even a scholarship through there, let alone a professional
yeah.
deal.
But it's in his genes. It's in his genes.
Exactly. After
Yeah.
you roughed up his dad, you gave him the talk.
You know
The
what I
lesson,
mean?
isn't
You
it?
know what I mean?
Let's try and give you some praise somehow. Mr. W says, I just hope Arteta's evil twin doesn't take over tomorrow and he puts the lineup in
Yeah.
that would get him
And
sanctioned.
getting section, I know.
Hey,
Because I feel it for Mr. W, because he's sweating now. He's sweating now. I guarantee you, he's pacing up and down the bedroom now and driving Wes mad, and she's telling him to come to bed and go sleep, because he gets so wound up, and he gets in his head, and he's
like
you know,
Arteta. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Between them, they're a full glass. Because he's a glass half empty and Wes is a glass half full. So.
And Wesberg, this is an absolute great point that we've not really spoken about. Our bench, and this is probably why Wilf's
That's what I just said. Yeah, what did I say?
We
Yeah, I
haven't
just said
really.
it a minute.
This is another reason, kind of why I wouldn't start Partey as well. Off that bench, our bench could be the difference. When I look at us, between us and Manchester City, the one thing that we have better than them is our bench.
It's a bench. Yeah.
So
with the players that got out, yeah, they're our bench is stronger.
The
only one I really fear on their bench is Alvarez.
He's not even in there. He starts.
He's not. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, yeah, he was on their bench last season, but not now. He starts. Who do they even have on their bench? I don't think they really have any. Calvin Phillips.
Yeah, I know. I still think he'd have done better us than he would have done to them. But
yeah, of course.
Going back to something you said earlier, with the matchups, I hope Saliba pockets Haaland again, which I believe he can, because this is something I didn't agree with Patrick with our two centre backs.
Oh yeah.
I think they are even better than they were last season, because their partnership has grown. They've matured a little bit more. Saliba has become a little bit more aggressive, and Gabriel has been a bit more thoughtful, so they've rubbed off on each other.
Also, they haven't made they made loads of mistakes at this stage last season.
Yeah, exactly.
The reason we've conceded our goals, unfortunately, hasn't but it hasn't been from them. Our issues have come. Our defensively, we've been a lot better. But the problem is we keep shooting ourselves.
In the foot, yeah.
Which is why I have nerves, going into this game.
I know. Weirdly, it's our home record for keeping clean sheets. We've hardly got. It's something like 12, 13 games that we've not kept a clean sheet at home.
But does that tell you it's not actual on base and ability or structure? It's based on
it's mentality.
Mentally, maybe getting a bit over. Whatever the reason is, it's hard for us to justify. I mean, we can hypothesize and say, it's concentration, or it's getting over gas.
I think it's overconfidence. I think it's overconfidence rather than, even more so than concentration. I think it's a slight arrogance.
Jorginho was overconfidence. The Saka one against Fulham, that's concentrating.
Yeah.
It's a misplaced pass. Whereas Jorginho,
with that one, his mind was on the training pitch and on the drawing board in the changing room, because he played that pass expecting a man's going to be there. So Mans is going to be there.
So
and
his his mind's thinking about the training, what the training pitch, what
what
Instead
was supposed to happen, what was
of
supposed to
what
happen,
happened
instinct to what was
before
supposed to happen, rather than looking. And
his concentration.
Partey, remember, it was Partey that was at right back at that time, yeah.
Yeah.
And Partey was not on the same page because it's not his natural position. So that's why the miscommunication happened.
Ben White made the overlap. Partey dropped inside, but
but instead of coming in, inside,
because
he stayed wide. Yeah,
because Ben, we don't want to go over it too much because Ben White went off with the overlap and Partey's already came into midfield because he thought Ben White stayed. So it was a mishaps. But even that, the corner for the 2-2.
Lack of concentration.
But guys, I'm gonna have to wrap it up. Mum's just sent me a text to be quiet. She's gone to bed. So what is your prediction, Wilf? Just before I wrap it up.
I can't remember what I said in the chat.
3-1, did you say?
I think I might have either said 3-2 or 3-1. Yeah. And I've been thinking about it, and I'm going for 3-1 to Arsenal.
You've gone 3-1 to Arsenal. I'm gonna go with a score that I would definitely take.
Yeah,
I'll be real.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna win. Yeah,
that's fair enough.
I'm much rather
against the best team in the world. You don't think we're going to win? Oh dear, I'm so stunned. It's not.
Listen, can we win? Absolutely. And
I think this is the game that we do. I
think, can we win? Absolutely. Will we? I'm sorry. I just still, when it comes to those moments of really being concentrated at home when we need to against this side, if you give them a sniff, they'll take it. Yeah. So I've gone with a 2-2 draw. Arsenal 2.
I'll take that. Like I said to you at the beginning, it's not a must win, it's a must not lose.
100%.
And I just think we're going to break their hoodoo. But I always say that and always feel this and whatever, and I've been proved wrong on so many occasions.
Yeah.
But I just think what this team has done under Arteta, once he's got Arteta's team in there, is break hoodoos. Yeah. Going away at Liverpool and beating Everton and away at Everton and stuff like that. We're getting over these hoodoos. One after the other, and I think this is the one now. We're either going to beat him tomorrow or we're going to beat him at the Etihad.
Oh, hey, I hope you're right. I'll take a win either places.
Yeah, one of them is going to be a win.
But yeah, Mr. W, if Craig Dawson can do it, William Saliba certainly can. Absolutely.
Oh, without a doubt. And props to Craig Dawson because he did pocket him big time. That was probably the performance of his life.
Oh, absolutely. And you made a goal line clearance too. Big up to yourself, Mrs. W. And I'm glad you're not making a prediction because that means it got.
Yeah.
When I saw prediction, I nearly had it. I nearly lost my hat.
No. If she did, then I'm burying myself now. Alive.
Exactly that.
I missed that one from Luke.
Mate, I'm sorry. What Luke and Will for agreeing? I'm sorry. This is.
Yeah.
We're winning the league. Forget this.
I know exactly.
We're smashing them 4-0 tomorrow. There we go.
Yeah.
Big up to my brothers right here. Always love Luke and Wilf as well. Yeah. Harsh. Hey, you've said it. I've always tried to push you for prediction. I'd take a draw now, to be honest, but I think we might get it done. You know what?
Yeah.
I get a little bit. The starting lineup will really tell me if I think we can.
Yeah. And if Mr. W's is thinking that we can do it, then hey,
you're agreeing with Luke. Mr. W thinks we can get it done. Where's Birdwood's about to make a prediction? We're going to win the league.
Yeah.
We win. Forget that. Winning champs as well. But guys,
do the double. We'll do the treble. We'll do the quadruple.
Don't forget, we're still in the Carabao Cup. City. That's the.
I know.
There's the little City.
Exactly. But I actually think we're gonna go far in the champion. And I said at the beginning of the season, we're either going to win the league or win the Champions League.
Yeah,
either one of the two.
I'll take that. But guys, I'm gonna have to run now. Mom sent
Yeah.
me another message. She'll be busting through the door here. Appreciate you all. Thank you once again, guys.
Part of me wants to see you get beat though. With mum coming through the door.
Exactly. So that's why I need to run lock it
Yeah.
on. I can't be
But
doing
big up
that.
people. It's been so good being back on an Arsenal show with you, man. Yeah. Thank you for having me
Appreciate
on.
you, man. No worries, my brother Will. Thank you for coming on, and big up to Patrick as well, who was on earlier
Yes.
for
Yeah.
the city side of things. We really enjoyed that. But now, Will, once again, my bro, really appreciate you coming on. It's been a while since we've done the Arsenal show
I
because
know.
time and things like that. But we will definitely try and get this up and going again for sure.
Yeah.
I need to be in
100%.
contact with you.
Very
I still
soon.
need to send you that. Yeah, I still need to send you something as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do that. We'll do that. I was thinking that the other day, but yeah, we'll do that.
Hey, definitely,
All right.
my bro. But love to you all. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your night and come on, the